Hi, I'm Dan McCleary of Tennessee Shakespeare Company. Welcome back to our Decameron Project. The date, March 31, 2020. Our theme today, wit. On this date in history, in 1855, Charlotte Bronte died. She and her sisters wrote under pen names that were male. Of course, she wrote Jane Eyre. And on this date, in 1836, Charles Dickens made his first installment on what would become a book called The Posthumous Papers of the Pickwick Club. We now know it as the Pickwick Papers. It's interesting, he didn't start this book writing it via text. He was asked by a periodical to supply textual captions to some wonderful artwork. But soon his text and his narrative was more wonderful than the artwork, and thus the book. If you haven't read the Pickwick Papers, and using today's theme of wit, here's just a bit. This is Charles Dickens. Although the roads were miry, and the drizzling rain came down harder than it had done yet, and although the mud and wet splashed in at the open windows of the carriage to such an extent that the discomfort was almost as great to the pair of insides as to the pair of outsides, still there was something in the motion and the sense of being up and doing which was so infinitely superior to being pent in a dull room, looking at the dull rain dripping into a dull street, that they all agreed on starting that the change was a great improvement and wondered how they could possibly have delayed making it as long as they had done. May we keep that in mind over the course of the next few weeks. The Merry Wives of Windsor, scholars often poo-poo it, but I never read it, but that I laugh at something in the play. Falstaff is brought back, supposedly, by William Shakespeare at the Queen's behest to see the fat knight in love, and not just singularly, but variously. And he's found himself attempting to woo in Mistress Ford's house. She's married, by the way, but that matters not. Until her husband starts to return home, and then she and Mistress Page shove the fat knight into a great whacking laundry basket, and the buck basket carriers come on, and they whisk him out, and they dump him into the closest river. And then he returns, imagine, soaking, wet. Have I lived to be carried in a basket like a barrow of butcher's offal, and to be thrown into the Thames? If I be served such another trick, I'll have me brains ta'en out and buttered and give them to a dog for a New Year's gift. The rogues slighted me in the river with as little remorse as they would have drowned a blind bitch's puppies 15 in the litter. And you may know by my sighs I have a kind of alacrity in sinking. I should have drowned, but that the shore was shelvy and shallow, a death that I abhor. For the water swells a man, and what a thing should I have been when I had been swelled? I should have been a mountain of mummy. Bardolph, go fetch me a quart of sack. Put a toast in it. There at the end, by the way, he's calling for sack, Spanish wine, but it's a notoriously dry wine for a very wet person. Our theme of wit. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again, and until then, do be well, do be safe, and if you know of someone who would love to hear from you today, please give them a call. Lots of love to you. Goodbye.